Hi guys, and welcome to the channel. Thanks for joining, thanks for subscribing if you are going to subscribe. If you like this kind of video, please consider doing so. So yeah, putting the paint where it belongs, that is the whole idea behind this. So I'm just blocking in the basic shapes here, following the reference. And for your convenience, I've put up my palette that I created, and I hope it helps in some way. I won't get into color mixing at this point. That'll be for a different video. Shading in some of the shadow parts, and we'll come to toning and tinting a little bit later. I just wanted to get some color down. And here we're starting with the skin texture, and it's just a matter of applying some random shapes, and you'll see in this real-time video what that's all about. Leaving some spots of the skin tone obviously to show through, and just some thin white which I'll tint a bit later. So I don't mix this color, I'll just tint it with the airbrush a bit later. Some random shapes, and the more of this paint that you put down, the more opaque it becomes. So you'll see it can build up the brightness value as you lay more paint down. And here again some real-time video of the technique, just blocking in a couple of random shapes. There's no real trick to this, it's just a matter of taking your time. And as the paint runs out on the brush, I use that to my advantage because the paint is so thin, to create the softer parts of this technique. Under the eye I did start with the eraser, but I'll just redo all of that with this new technique. My canvas just wasn't quite smooth enough for the eraser. Now I'm just going to blend in some of these parts. As I said, I'll tint the white a bit later, which is what I'm doing now. So coming back with the skin color, just to fade those little marks in a little bit, using my O2 brush here by Master Aircraft. Link is in the description below. And now I'm blocking in the previously done parts with the eraser. As I say, my canvas wasn't quite smooth enough for that, and it's exactly the same technique. And as the brush runs out, I go a little bit lower in the fading technique to fade these parts in. But of course I'll come with my skin tone and blend this all back together nicely again. But I want to just create the actual texture, and it's just a matter of taking time, putting some random blocks down, some random patterns down, and building up your texture as you go along. Right, coming down to the lips. I just masked it up again, and here's my palette, and this is the final lip color that I'll be using. It's very transparent. I'll blend it in, and then I'll come with my skin tones on top. You'll see a little later. And at the moment I'm just putting in the shadow part with my shadow color, which is the same as just above the nose there by the nose. It's the same color, it's just the shadow. And I want to just create some shape first before I come with the actual lip color that I created. And I'm just taking my time with my O2 brush, my point O2 brush, and I'm using my hand as a soft shield because I don't want any harsh lines. And here I make a big mistake here, but fortunately the hair goes right over this, but I only noticed this a lot later. So yeah, there's a mistake that I've made, but it's easily fixable because the hair is going right over that anyway. I don't know how I missed that, and that's just what brings me to my point of looking closely at your reference and learning as you go. But yeah, I make a mistake, but I fix it, and it's no real big deal. But I don't know how I missed this completely didn't even realize that it was in completely the wrong place. Now I'm starting with the actual lip color, using the white at the back, the primer, to give the luminance to the color. I didn't mix the color as a solid opaque color. I'm using the primer in the back to create highlights and shape, and the more of this color that I spray, the deeper it will become, and we can build up the lip shape in that manner. I'm being quite loose here. I'm not being specific, keeping to the general area. I don't mind if it bleeds over a little bit. It's not a big problem. And in this high speed, you'll see that the lip starts taking shape, because I'm just spraying more color where I need the darker parts. You can also do this the other way around, by doing this lip color first and then coming with your shadow colors, which might be a better way, but in this instance it worked pretty well and I didn't really have an issue. That glaring big lip mistake I still hadn't actually noticed. It's only later that I noticed the mistake, but I thought I'd just leave it in, and it's all part of learning. So you can see now what I'm talking about. This is in completely the wrong position, but the hair will cover it where my finger is at the moment. So I'm not really worried about it. We just carry on and we fix it as we go. So here I'm using my 0.3 brush. I'm just blending in some of the skin color, because this part of the lip is a slightly different color than the bottom part. And I'm not mixing any specific color, I'm just using what I have already so that it all blends together nicely. And once again, being fairly loose here, just keeping to the general shape. Now I'm going to start giving this face a bit of blush, a bit of color, just in this section here, around the nose and wherever else it needs. Just following the reference to see where I need to add some of this color. I'm using my big 05 brush here, link again in the description below. Just blending in this very weak, watered down blush color. And I'm using some watered down scarlet, so it's not a color I mixed, just a bit of scarlet. And I'm using the fact that the skin tone is underneath to tint the scarlet in the right direction. Just following the reference to see where the dark parts is, and that's where I'm putting this scarlet color. It's very thin down, so I've got lots of opportunity to build up as I need. And the fact that this brush has got quite a big nozzle helps to spread this color over the painting. And of course I filter all my paints so that I get as little blockage as possible. I'm not using any particular airbrush paint here, I'm just using normal acrylics, hobby style acrylics. You can see it's starting to take shape now. And because the paint is so thin, we can just layer it until we get the desired hue. And once again, I've reduced this down to 95%, and I have no problems with adhesion at all. Right, moving on to some of the lip detail. I just went back to the projector and projected the marks where I needed them, and I'm using some watered down pure white. And into my white I always add just a touch of orange, just a drop of orange, and that prevents or eliminates a lot of the blue shift that you get when you're painting white over any color. So that's a little tip for you. And just taking my time, and once again this paint is very watered down, so I can build it up as I need. Guys, thanks for watching. We're coming to the end of this part now. In the next and final part we will finalize this image. And thanks for watching. And I hope you've learned something, or if you're painting along, show us your version in the links below. I'm just finishing off this section with some of the highlights, textures as we did before. If you like this sort of thing, thanks for subscribing. Thanks to Master Aircraft for supplying the airbrushes for this. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Take care.